What's up, everybody? Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. It's Sunday morning here. Maybe not by you, might be afternoon, evening, or even Monday, right? But thanks for spending some time with us here to take a look at a catalog of a very cool band. This is a band that up until like about a year ago, I had never listened to a lick of their music. Had heard the name in passing here and there, but decided after enough people were like, yeah, you really should check out Fanny, the all-female band from Los Angeles. And I did. And, you read up a lot about them, and very influential, signed to a major label, and always kind of predicted would be like the next big thing, but never really got all that popular, but very, very influential to other female bands that would follow. And really, when you think about it, might be, there's probably others, but might be the first notable all-female rock band signed to a major label. So yeah, the band is Fanny. Like I said, from Los Angeles. You had, the band was, four members. All four of them sang. All four of them wrote. You had the sisters of Filipino descent. You had June and Jean Millington. Okay, June on guitars and vocals and Jean on bass and vocals. You had Nikki Barclay on piano, organ, and vocals. She actually went off. She played and sang with Joe Cocker and Barbra Streisand, lots of other artists. Very, very busy person during and after her time with Fanny. And then Alice DeBure on drums, percussion, and vocals. And both Alice and June would leave the band after their fourth record and would be replaced. And then after that fifth album, which resulted after the lineup change, the band would break up shortly thereafter. So really only around for roughly about 5 years or so, but 5 studio albums. I'm going to rank them all in my order of preference. I have all of them on physical CD except for one, which is the most recent album. Well, the last album they did, actually. So let's start with number 5. Number 5 is actually going to be Rock and Roll Survivors from 1974, their fifth and final album. So here, the band originally signed to Reprise Records. Their first 4 albums were on Reprise. But for this fifth album, they actually get signed to Casablanca Records. So, of course, by 1974, Casablanca, not quite yet the big label it would become a few short years later because, of course, Kiss aren't at the height of their powers yet, right? Donna Summer, not quite yet. So it would be just an Angel, right? But it would just be shortly thereafter. So it's almost a shame that Fanny didn't hang around for another few years because perhaps they might have gotten, a little bit of a rise in popularity being on Casablanca alongside these other heavy hitters, but we weren't quite at that point yet. But Vinnie Poncia produces the album. Of course, Vinnie worked with Kiss a little bit as well and had some dealings with Kiss. And here, like I mentioned, June leaves the band. She is replaced by Patty Quattro on guitars and vocals, sister of Susie Quattro. Okay, so it's kind of cool coincidence there. And Bree Howard comes in on drums and replaces Alice DeBure. So here, it's almost weird that we're starting in this place because we really haven't yet on the show talked about the first 4 albums. But here, the music is getting much, much more commercial than the earlier stuff. Very, very polished, even more so polished than Mother's Pride, which is the album that came right before it. You can hear some shifts in the style of the band. I think both Vinnie and the record label wanted to move the band into more of like, say, a glam rock kind of mode a little bit. You can kind of hear it in the music, as well as, and this is kind of really weird, and again, with the whole Casablanca thing, you can hear, especially on opener, the title track, Rock and Roll Survivors, you can hear some of those kind of strings and things very prevalent in a lot of disco sounds, the early disco songs and albums, right? So you can kind of hear that glam meets disco thing kind of happening. And again, this is 1974. But it's a really, really catchy song, and I like it a lot, even though it's very different from what kind of you heard from Fanny leading up to this point. Butter Boy, catchy bluesy rocker, heavy on piano, even has a sax solo. There's actually a lot of piano in a lot of their music. So if you don't mind that in your rock and roll, a lot of piano in a lot of this stuff. Long Distance Lover, kind of bland pop. And then they do a cover of the Rolling Stones' Let's Spend the Night Together. Kind of unnecessary. It's not really particularly any good. They do covers. This band did covers throughout their albums. Rockin' All Night, though, which comes after that, is a great rocker. Good hard rock song, written and sung by Quattro, and probably the best song on the album. It's a good one. And a lot of slashing guitar riffs and solos. You got organ, gritty vocals, intricate drumming. Really, really good song. Rockin' All Night, easily my favorite on this album. What else is on here? Get Out of the Jungle's kind of fun, bluesy, funky, but again, really kind of polished and slick sounding. Beggar Man is good. It's a good funky rocker, good guitar licks, big fat bass lines and organ. Good song, another good one. Then you get Sally Go Round the Roses. That's mostly a miss, not really all into that. I've had it as a closer, and it's basically kind of forgettable girl pop, which kind of ends the album on like a real kind of limp note, right? So all in all, on Rock and Roll Survivors from '74, their last album, a couple good songs, but most of this is pretty forgettable. So that's my number 5. Number 4, I'm going to go with their 4th album from 1973, Mother's Pride. Okay. Here they are right there. Again, this is the final album with the original lineup. Reprise Records, produced by Todd Rundgren. Okay, so you would think, wow, Todd actually worked with Fanny. Yes, they did, because apparently Fanny had opened for either Todd solo or Utopia. This is 73, so probably Todd solo. And they knew right off the bat they wanted to work with him, so they convinced him to produce the album. So June and Alice leave the band after this album and tour. So again, this is the last one with the classic and original lineup. You got, Todd's production gives the band a much more polished and less raw sound. It's very, very noticeable when you listen to this album and the 3 that came before. Last Night I Had a Dream, which opens up the album, is a cover of a Randy Newman song. It's kind of proggy. Loads of piano and keyboards, and June's guitar solo is really, really good on this. She always has a really good lead guitar tone on all these albums. Then you got Long Road Home, which is kind of folky pop. Old Hat is kind of bluesy pop, lots of piano and acoustic guitar, but really, really nice vocal harmonies. Again, all 4 of the ladies sing. They do a really good job. There's lots of cool multi-tracked and layered vocal harmonies on these albums, which is really, really nice to hear. You got Solid Gold, kind of generic bluesy rock with a really bad vocal from Alice, the drummer. Again, she sings, frequently on a lot of these albums, but for some reason she just sounds out of pitch, out of tune, off pitch, just not really good. And if you read up on this album and the story behind this particular song, apparently she was drunk in the studio when they recorded it, but they used it anyway. And you can kind of tell when you listen to Solid Gold, you're like, oh God, she does not sound all that good. But they kept it in there. Oh well. Is It Really You? Another kind of slice of bluesy pop. Doesn't really go anywhere. All Mine, another kind of breezy pop song. Summer Song's got a nice groove to it. Catchy chorus. Some of this stuff, and again, it predates the lineup, but some of this stuff reminds me a little of like similar period Fleetwood Mac, like a little bit of the Bob Welch era, and certainly those first 2 Buckingham Nicks albums in Fleetwood Mac, so Fleetwood Mac and Rumors. You're going to get a lot of that based on the way they utilize keyboards and the cool guitar lines, and then especially the way they utilize the vocals, again, the female vocals, obviously. But there's kind of like this kind of California country sound going on a lot of these. Very, very cool. So that's a good one. Summer Song, I'd say, is one of the best songs on this album. Polecat Blues, it's kind of generic boogie blues. It's all right, nothing great. You get like a kind of like a slow blues, lots of organ. Beside Myself, that's not a bad track. It's okay. The guitar soloing from June is pretty nice on that. Regular Guy, it doesn't do much for me. It doesn't really get out of first gear. It's kind of like just very light acoustic pop folk type of thing. It's okay. But the vocals are well done. Vocals are always really good on these albums, except for that one song. And then I Need You, Need Me, which is kind of bluesy, kind of hard rocky, pretty good song. Feelings is another kind of bland pop song. It's all right. It's nothing spectacular. And then you got I'm Satisfied, which is the closer, which has some really muscular guitar work from June. And it's got kind of like an old school rock style chorus. Reminds me of something that could have come from the late 50s, early 60s. Overall, I don't know. I think this album is kind of a mess. You know, Todd sounds like he really wanted to kind of get rid of their raw power that they had on the earlier albums and give them more of like a sheen. It just sounds a little overproduced, and like a lot of their, I don't know, a lot of that oomph just seems to be gone from the band on this album. And I think June, the guitar player, she's also kind of lost here. Don't hear a lot of riffs. You know, you hear the solos obviously, but overall it's just very piano and keyboard driven. Again, not that that's always such a bad thing, but when you have a player of the caliber of June on this album, you want to make sure that you accentuate the positives, right? So yeah, not a tremendous fan of this album. It's got Bolo, it's got some good songs. All right, so now the kind of the meat of the catalog here. So we're gonna go with Fanny Hill, which is their third album, also on Reprise Records. Opens up with an upbeat cover of Marvin Gaye's Ain't That Peculiar, which is nicely done. You got the soaring pop of Knock on My Door. Blind Alley is pretty good. That's kind of like a gritty hard rocker with some nice fuzzy riffing from June, which is always welcome. You've got You Got a Home, which is more of kind of like acoustic folk. They always throw a couple tunes on each album that's more in that vein. Similar Wonderful Feeling, also kind of similar vibe to that one as well. These big lush vocal harmonies, acoustic guitars, electric guitars, some good slide guitar on this particular track. Borrowed Time is more of a boogie. All right, they do a cover of the Beatles' Hey Bulldog. Works pretty well, do a nice job on it. And June's guitar is absolutely roaring on it. Really good stuff. I'll just show you a picture on the back there. You got the smoldering organ drenched Think About the Children, which is a really nice track. I like that. Rock Bottom Blues. Really good guitar-led song. It's got a lot of firepower on it from June. I like the vocals of Alice, the drummer on that one. She's got more of a gritty voice of the four of them, which is kind of cool. Sound and Fury's got like a country rock feel. You know, think like the Byrds, maybe early Eagles, that sort of thing. And then The First Time, which is kind of, I think, one of the longer songs on the album. And that kind of reminds me of like early Southern rock. It sounds like early Allman Brothers. It's kind of bluesy. It's got kind of like gospel-like chorus on the, vocals on the chorus. And reminds me of kind of like, Brothers and Sisters, Enlightened Rogues era Allman Brothers band. Good album. Really solid album. That's number 3 for me. Number 2, we're going to go with the second album from 1971. It's called Charity Ball. For me, the number 1 and 2 are clearly the best albums in this catalog. Again, Reprise Records, title track, catchy rock song, jangly guitars, piano, memorable chorus. It actually was, I believe, their only U.S. top 40 hit single. Okay, good song, really good. What Kind of a Lover, bluesy, nice grooves. Cat Fever rocks, great hook on that one as well. A Person Like You's got more kind of piano-led bluesy stuff. They do a lot of that sort of thing. Tasty slide guitar from June on that particular one. You got Special Care, which is a cover of the old Buffalo Springfield track written by Stephen Stills. Really good. Some gutsy lead guitar work on this particular track. She's one of the unheralded female guitar players of this era. Really good. And if you go online, there's lots of, I shouldn't say lots, but there is some footage on YouTube here of this band in their prime that's actually really worth watching. I was watching a couple of videos before I did this episode. Really good stuff there. What else we got here? What's Wrong With Me is more folky stuff. Again, they do a little bit of that on every album, but the vocal harmonies are absolutely stunning. Soul Child, tense groove, fiery vocals, stinging lead guitar licks, nice use of organ. Really, really good song. You're the One has some really nice pulsing lead bass work from Gene, which I think is cool. It's a real fun, quirky song. And then Thinking of You, memorable chorus, and in fact, really memorable chorus. And I'm just surprised they didn't consider using this, releasing this as a single, because a really, really good song. You've got Place in the Country. Got kind of funky grooves, bumps and grinds a bit. Big blues rock swagger to that as well. And then a little while later closes the album. It's got some nice simmering organ, more piano, the 3 and 4 part vocal harmonies. Really, really good song, and it like just about 6 minutes long. It's kind of like the mini epic on the album. I think it's really strong. And like I mentioned before, I can see anyone who's into the Fleetwood Mac self-titled album and Rumors, and even some of those great Bob Welch albums that came right before, would really like this album, because it's got a similar feel to it. Very, very cool stuff. And then number 1 is going to be their first album. So actually I went right in the order of release on these. So that's kind of how my ranking worked out, and I think they started off with a bang, and the quality kind of drifted off a little bit from album to album, but the debut is my favorite. It's just called Fanny from 1970. There's their back, there's their front. So again, they got signed to Reprise Records right off the bat. Come and Hold Me, which kicks off the album, and there's a lot of variety on this album, as there are on most of these. That's kind of like a breezy slice of kind of psychedelic pop. Seeing as this album came out in 1970, that song would have been perfectly fit right in 1968 or 1969. Very late 60s sounding. Very cool song, though. And the vocals are just amazing on it. Then you got I Just Realized, and that is a complete about face. This one is a crisp, hard rocker, nice guitar riffs, nicely done piano. Really good song. Shows you how much these girls could rock. Candlelighter Man, also a good rocker. Really good vocal harmonies and some really nice guitar licks from June Millington. Again, very special player. You got Conversation with a Cop. Very strange title of the song. That's more kind of like gentle pop. They do a really good cover of Cream's Badge, with some just great lead guitar work and piano and nice use of organ. In fact, there's a great live clip on YouTube of them playing that on some French TV show. It's like Badge mixed with it's like a medley Badge and a couple other tracks. And man, you can just listen to June playing lead guitar. Holy cow. What a great tone. Really, really good player. You got Changing Horses, another really good song. It reminds me of The Faces. It's got that kind of like honky-tonk piano and those kind of like really upbeat guitar riffs and really good vocals. Really good song. You got the psychedelic pop of Bitter Wine with some really great vocal harmonies. Nice track. Take a Message to the Captain. Good rootsy song. Lots of fun. Take a Lot of Good Lovin'. It's kind of groovy, right? It's kind of like blues rock, but it's got really nice grooves, kind of a little bit of funk permeating in there. Shade Me reminds me of Traffic, the band Traffic. Very cool song. And then the album ends with just an absolute crushing song called Seven Roads, which is the heaviest song they ever did. And it's just got these big gargantuan guitar riffs and lots of organ. What a great song. If you love like Deep Purple, Uriah Heep, that sort of thing, you'll like this. It just shows you how much these ladies can kick ass. And I think this is a great album. So it's my number 1. All right, so there we have it. So we got Fanny number 1, Charity Ball number 2, Fanny Hill number 3, Mother's Pride is pick number 4, and then Rock and Roll Survivors is number 5. So that's how I see them. You may think differently. That's what we got the comments section for. So if you know these albums, rank them as you like them down in the comments below. If you've never listened to them, I would say go out and listen to the first 2 albums first, because to me those are clearly the best. But you got some good stuff on all the other albums, but those first 2 are pretty special. And it's just a shame that this band didn't really do much, but fortunately they were very influential on other female rockers to come, and that's the important thing. So you have to wonder, bands like the Runaways and the Go-Go's and all the other bands who came out in their wake, who hopefully got some influence from the band Fanny, that showed that women can rock too, right? That's what it's all about. So thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alerted of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below we got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, as well as our merch page, so thanks in advance for all your support there, and the Cameo page that's also down below for personalized videos. So thanks again, everybody. Tune in 1 week from today, where Grant Arthur will be coming and joining me, and we will be ranking the albums of Night Ranger. So that's coming up next Sunday, Till then, I am Pete Pardo. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you real soon with more stuff. In fact, tomorrow is Hudson Valley Squares Day. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.